All right, let me ask y'all something real quick. When was the last time you changed your mind about something? Not because somebody forced you to do it, right? Not because you lost a debate, but because you actually found out that you were wrong. Now let's think about that one for a second. Because in a world where everybody has an answer, and in a world where you can find proof in almost anything, the real question isn't what's the answer? It's do you actually want the truth? Welcome back to Word Forward, guys. I'm Damien J Branch, and this is episode 9. But we're going to go somewhere a little different on this episode. Not in a heavier direction, but a wider one. Right? We always talk a lot about doing the work, right? Showing up for yourself, building and growing, and starting that thing, whatever that is. But today I want to talk a little bit about something underneath all that stuff. All right. I want to talk about truth because we live in a different type of time right now where all the answers are everywhere. You search it, you could ask AI for it, you could watch a 60-second clip, you could read captions, scroll through threads. And I'm not here to say that there's anything wrong with any of that stuff, right? I use it too, you know. We all do. But fast and true, that's not the same thing. And I think a lot of people are confusing them right now. Here's what I'm calling it, right? Answer culture. We build a world that rewards speed. You get answers, you share answers, you move on with your life, right? And I get it. Efficiency, it matters. Saving time, that matters more too. And I'm not against being quick, but something gets lost in all of that. When speed becomes the standard, you stop sitting with uncertainty. You stop asking follow-up questions. You stop being comfortable with saying, I don't know yet. And I don't know yet used to be a respectable term. It used to mean that you were just thinking, right? But now it sounds like you're lacking, like you don't do your own research, like you're slower than everybody else in the world. And that shift, it could become a problem, right? And most people don't even notice that it's happening to them. But let me make that real for a second, right? Think about how we consume information right now. You get a question, you don't just sit with it anymore. You don't think it through fully. You don't even ask anybody, right? You grab your phone, you type it in, you get your answers in seconds. And most of the time, that's where it stops. You don't check for the second source, right? You don't ask, was this the right answer? You don't ask, could this be missing something? You just accept it, right? Because it came back fast. And I had to catch myself doing that too. Because the speed, it feels like efficiency, but that's not always the same thing. And this is the part I want you to hear for real. People started really trusting speed over efficiency. It used to be expertise that we trusted. But now if the answer comes back fast and it sounds polished enough and it looks organized enough, it looks confident, and people trust that, people assume that it must be correct. But confidence isn't always truth. Structure isn't truth. A clean delivery isn't truth. And I say that knowing that I'm on a podcast telling you that right now. Trust me, I'm aware of the irony in that. That's exactly why I have to be careful about this. Because I don't want you to just believe me just because it sounds like I know what I'm talking about. I want you to still think for yourself. You know, question me even. Push back a little bit. That's the point. Now, I want to take it a little bit deeper on a deeper level, right? Because here's a question that really sits with me a lot. Who's programming the facts in this machine, right? And I'm not even saying this in a conspiracy type of way. I mean, in a literal sense, AI doesn't just pull the truth out of the sky, you know? It's trained on information. And that information comes from selective sources. And those sources, they come from other people with perspectives, institutions with agendas, systems with deeper histories, worldviews, blind spots, incentives, you name it. And to be fair, that doesn't make it all wrong, right? A lot of it is genuinely useful. And useful and complete, that's not the same thing. So when the machine hands us an answer, the question isn't only, is this true, right? The deeper question gets, who decided that this was true? And maybe even what info got left out? See, this reaches the fact checking too, you know? Now, I'm not saying that fact check is another bad creation. It matters a lot and it's necessary. But here's a nuance that a lot of people skip over. Every fact check system has to decide what counts as credible, what counts as reliable information, and what counts as strong enough evidence to prove this is true. And those directions don't come from the air. That means verification and objectivity are not always parallel. You could pass a fact check and still be missing a full picture. But that's not a reason to throw everything out, right? It's a reason to stay curious, even after you get a confirmed stamp on that info. All right, let me be real with y'all for a second. Most people don't actually want honesty. They just want certainty. You know, they want comfort. They rather have that answer so they can stop thinking about the question that they have. And I get that. Life is heavy to deal with and people are tired, you know. The last thing any of us wants is more complexity. But truth doesn't care about your comfort levels, right? Truth will challenge the vision, the wisdom. It'll interrupt your opinions. It'll make you sit with something that's really uncomfortable for you to digest and without handing you a clean resolution at the time. And that's exactly what a lot of people avoid. They avoid honesty without even realizing that's what they're doing. All right, let me explain this a little bit better because it sounds harsh at first, and I get that. It's not that people don't care, it's that truth comes with responsibility. If I find out I was wrong, now I have to adjust. Now I might have to admit something, right? And that's uncomfortable. So what do people do? They grab the version of the answer that lets them stay the same, the version that protects them from their current mindset, the same version that doesn't challenge them that much. Once I saw that and understood that, I started checking myself differently. Like, am I looking for the truth right now, or am I just looking for something to make me feel better? So let me ask you a practical question right now. If you actually want the truth, where do you go to find it? Do you go where the information is the fastest? Or do you go where it's examined? Do you go where your views are protected? Or do you go where your thinking might get challenged? Because all those roads lead to very different ways to build. And here's what I learned personally. Truth usually lives right up the street from discomfort. It usually lives in that source that we don't want to consume. The conversations that we all keep avoiding. The moment that we realize I might have had this all wrong. That process matters just as much as the answers that we want to know. How do you search? How do you listen? How honest are you willing to be? Especially when something doesn't go your way. That's not a skill that people like to talk about a lot, but it might be one of the most important conversations that we need to have. And maybe this is the real reason why I'm doing my podcast. Not because I have all the answers. Trust me, I know I don't. And I'll never pretend that I do. But it's because I think we just need more spaces like this right now, where the goal isn't to win arguments. The goal is actually to learn and understand something. Because in this world full of noise, right? Full of options and full of everyone else's take, full of answers that arrive before you can even get out your question, honest thoughts are the rare thing now. Slowing down is rare thing. Saying, let me try to understand this fully before I respond to you. That's rare. And if you're somebody that actually wants to live by the truth, right, you're probably going to have to go a little deeper than the first answer that you finally get every single time. So if this episode made you think at all today, right, I want you to share it with somebody that is stuck and they're tired of that surface level thinking, like you. We all been there. I want you to follow me, follow Word Forward on all platforms, Spotify, Apple, and YouTube. And if you want to continue this conversation and go a little bit deeper, I want you to join us in the inner circle. I'll leave everything in the description so you can find it. This is Word Forward, y'all. I'll see you on the next one.